I want to talk about the real reason that there was a so-called revolution that just took place in Syria, because a lot of people don't have a very good memory, do they? We're going to go straight back to the source, okay? So in 2009, Qatar and Turkey wanted a pipeline. But the problem is this gas pipeline would only work out if it would run through Syria, okay? It had to go through Syria. Why? Because the shorter the pipeline is, obviously the less it costs, right? You reduce the number of fixed costs, and every pipeline that's under 2,000 kilometers is just going to be exponentially, more advantageous money-wise, and it's going to expedite things, and it's just a no-brainer. You know, you always want to keep it under 2,000 kilometers. And by going through Syria, it would have been 1,500 kilometers, right? Now look at this. Just 2 days ago, the energy minister of Turkey digs up the old pipeline idea, which Assad said no to in 2009. So according to the Turkish energy minister, a natural gas pipeline project between Turkey and Qatar could be resumed following Bashar al-Assad's fall. The pipeline, which would pass through Syrian territory, was rejected by Bashar al-Assad in 2009. The 1,500 kilometer long pipeline would transport gas. The 1,500 kilometer long pipeline would transport gas from Qatar to Saudi Arabia, into Jordan, into Syria, to Turkey, and then finally on to Europe, which has been struggling. Europe has been struggling to adequately replace Russian gas since the Ukraine war. Not only that, but of course, you'll recall that Iran is back under sanctions now since several years after Trump pulled out of the nuclear deal, right? So 2015, 2016, they signed the nuclear deal in Vienna. Iran was able to bring in foreign companies, attract foreign investment, export its oil, its gas, and then Donald Trump pulled the plug, and now Iran's been under sanctions for 3 years, right? So its gas can't get to Europe. Russia's gas can't get to Europe. Well, who's left? Who is left? Well, it just so happens that Israel it fancies itself as an energy partner of Europe. And you remember Ursula von der Leyen, I'm trying to cuss less. She went to Egypt and announced this gas deal, right? Now, where the hell is Israel going to get gas from, right? How could Israel be a major energy exporter? Where does he get this from? Well, you remember Netanyahu talking about the new Middle East. It's not just about this economic corridor. It's not only about that. When he talks about a new Middle East, that economic corridor includes all of this lovely, lovely gas that just so happens to be sitting in the Mediterranean Sea on the Leviathan. So look, this is the Levant Basin, okay? The Levant Basin is this entire area, but specifically the Leviathan gas field has the largest amount of gas inside of the Levant Basin. So you've got all that lovely gas sitting right there, ripe for the taking. Okay, we are talking about enormous amounts of gas wealth that they haven't even begun to extract these things, because the whole region has been at war because of America, because of Britain, because of the West, and because of Israel, because they won't leave people alone. So you remember about 2 years ago, Israel tried to steal the gas inside of the Karish gas fields, which is just off the coast of Lebanon, and they were so bent and intent on stealing the gas and just getting out of there as quickly as possible, like a thief inside of a diamond shop or something. They even brought a special kind of vessel that can extract and process the stuff on the spot. Right? So that didn't work out, and then they had to get Amos Hochstein, Biden's special envoy, to calm things down. And by the way, who just negotiated that ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel? The same guy. So basically, he settled this maritime border dispute between Lebanon and Israel, which of course relates entirely to who gets to have the gas, right? Because if your border ends here and it's got the gas fuel inside of it, well, guess what? You've just inherited, right, a lot of money, or of course, God promised it to you, right? If you happen to be Jewish. So this is what we're talking about. But still, that is really the largest section of it. And Israel has been systematically making sure that no one can extract this gas but them. So they've been bombing Latakia port, not just in the last couple of days, but they've done it several times in the last 10 years. The Beirut port mysteriously exploded. I'm willing to bet that Israel was behind that. Of course, there's incompetence and corruption to a certain degree in every scenario, but it's the question is who is exploiting the corruption and the incompetence in order to do that. This is the question, right? So Beirut port out of action, Latakia port out of action, all of Syria now is out of action, and then of course Gaza out of action. What does that leave? Well, it just leaves the Israelis. It just leaves them with the infrastructure and the stability needed in order to extract this gas, to process it, to ship it off, and on and on. But it's not just that. It's not just about the gas. So just again to recap, okay, we're talking about using Syria as a transit, as a conduit to move gas from Qatar to Turkey, okay? So now they're going to do that. In addition to that, they're going to steal Syria's own gas and Lebanon's gas and Gaza and Palestine's gas, okay? So that's two boxes that they've now ticked. So Qatar and Turkey profit from the first one. Israel profits from the second, as do, of course, the European countries that need this gas because they sanctioned Russia and they sanctioned Iran. And, of course, the United States itself is busy stealing the oil inside of Syria, in the Omar oil fields and in Hasaka and Deir ez-Zor, everything that's to the east of the Euphrates River. I mean, what moron can sit there and tell you that the whole Syrian issue, it's about, this dictator and people just overthrew him and that's it? How can you ignore your own country's oil and gas wealth in such a manner when everyone is openly saying, we want it, we want to steal it from you? Did Israel not bring the goddamn ship? Did Israel not bomb the ports? Did Israel not make sure that Syria, that Lebanon, that Palestine become, I don't like to use the term failed states, but sabotaged states? Is America not stealing the oil right now? Did Qatar and Turkey not plan this in 2009? Did the Turkish energy minister not just say 3 days ago he wants the pipeline? How blind can you be? How can you just sit there and say, oh, it's about democracy? Shove it up your ass, you idiot. You can't have democracy when you don't have sovereignty and you don't have natural resources and you got no wealth. You're not going to have anything. Sovereignty comes first. That's how you get access to your resources. That's how you can build a democracy. That's how you do everything. It's the foundation of everything. But some morons think that, they can just allow Turkey to come in, take Aleppo. Turkey is a benevolent and has nothing but the best of intentions, of course, and Israel, which wants to build greater Israel and steal more and more land. They have nothing but the best of intentions, and the Americans, and Britain and France and the EU and Saudi Arabia and on and on and on. I mean, half the bloody planet, right? If half the planet have to get rid of your leader, doesn't really look like a revolution. Looks more like a coup. Looks more like a hostile takeover. Looks more like predatory corporations trying to steal your bloody resources. Doesn't it? And not to mention China. Oh, yes. Anyone, Syrians who know their history, who should know their history, God damn it, would know that Palmyra, Aleppo, these are one of the most important spots. These are some of the most important spots on the ancient Silk Road. China is reviving the ancient Silk Road. It's called the New Silk Road, the Belt and Road Initiative. All of these things are going to involve Syria. Not only because Syria used to be part of the old network, but because Syria has access to the Mediterranean Sea. Syria would give not just itself, of course, but the rest of the members, the rest of the participants, the rest of the countries and businesses and corporations that will all take part in this massive project of the New Silk Road, access to the Mediterranean Sea. It's the gateway. Okay, once again, we have to pull up the maps because people just have an aversion for some reason to maps. Look, you want to get to the coast, you've got to go through Syria. here, I don't know why it's switched into Arabic all of a sudden, but I've got a map of the ancient Silk Road, all right? you see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about? You have to go there. And of course, the Americans for a long time, why have they been in this area specifically? It's not just because of the oil. It's not just because of the crops, but they've been trying to cut Iraq off from Syria. So just in case they weren't able to take over Syria, at least they sabotage the new Silk Road either way, right? Either way. Because if the Americans are blocking the railways and the railroads and the routes from entering Syria in the first place from Iraq, well then, you know, it's the same thing as if you'd taken over Syria itself. You sabotaged that gateway to the Mediterranean Sea. And of course, the Iraqis and Iranians finalized a railway deal not even a year ago, less than a year ago. As a matter of fact, I think it was November of last year, might have been. But the point is that everything was set into motion, especially after the war in Ukraine began, right? We saw BRICS growing, and with it, of course, the Belt and Road Initiative and more countries signing up for the new Silk Road. I think you've got over 125 countries, right? Absolutely enormous. And the problem now is that this is going to have terrible, terrible long-term consequences for all the global south, not just Syria, but for the entirety of the global south. They will suffer because of this. And Lebanon and Palestine are equally occupied and equally in trouble. I mean, the Lebanese army is basically funded and controlled to a certain extent far too much by the Americans. Lebanon itself is infiltrated and controlled to a large extent by foreigners, by the Americans, and Palestine is Gaza. Just look at Gaza; it's gone, right? So the Israelis and Americans together have consolidated their stranglehold, their grip on the Levant and particularly the Mediterranean coast. They have made sure that their economic interests with their economic corridor that goes from India, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, and then on to Europe is guaranteed. They have made sure that the pipeline from Qatar to Turkey is guaranteed. They've made sure that they can steal Syria's gas, Lebanon's gas, Palestine's gas, and no one is going to say or do a thing. Do you see how massive this is? And people still want to sit there and tell you, yeah, but democracy, these people are lunatics. And as a matter of fact, it's insulting. It's insulting to have so much wealth in your hands and to spit on it and take people and yourself for such a fool and to pretend like Syria is just an island in space. It's not. It's got tons of resources. It's in a strategic position and it has a massive role to play in things to come. And by spitting on that and trying to make it about one guy who isn't even in the bloody country anymore, it is really an insult to people's intelligence. And frankly, it's just a cell phone, isn't it? So here's the article, by the way. I mean, look, they're openly talking about this. This is from 10th of December. Natural gas pipeline could be revived. They didn't even wait a week. These vultures. I mean, it's really, they're literally vultures. They see you dying and they're like circling overhead, getting ready for their meal. They're so disgusting, really. Like, all they can think about is money. These corporations, Shell, Total, all of them, they're all involved in this. And these governments have been planning this for a long time. It wasn't just about resistance to Zionism. There's also massive economic incentive. All right. And now what you see, Jolani himself, right, Mr. Head Chopper Supreme, driving, not driving around, but himself driving the chief of Turkish intelligence in downtown Damascus. I mean, why not just shine his shoes while you're at it and, kiss his backside? I think driving is far too, it's not cordial enough, is it? Yeah, you can hear him saying in Arabic, "Hu amisu." He's driving. He's driving the car. Right, and here they are also driving through Rasul al-Hamidiyya. So that's what's going on, and then they took him to pray in the Umayyad mosque. Okay, so that's the head of Turkish intelligence. It's called MIT. That's the acronym, and they took him to pray inside of the mosque. It's very symbolic. It's very symbolic. Keep in mind, it goes to show you who is behind Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or as they should be always called, Al-Qaeda. It goes to show you that they're very shameless about it as well. They didn't even wait a week to announce the plans about the pipeline. They didn't even send Erdogan. They sent the head of the intelligence, which goes. It shows you that this whole thing has been orchestrated by spooks and run by spooks. Why would you send the head of intelligence? Isn't that weird? Think about that for a second. Like, why not send the ambassador? Well, there haven't been ties, but you could put. Obviously, they're going to be readjusting the foreign ministry soon. You could appoint an ambassador, right? Couldn't you? You could send a chargé d'affaires instead of the ambassador, because there's probably most certainly a chargé d'affaires for Turkey in Damascus still present. You could send Erdogan himself. You could send anyone else. Why would you send the head of intelligence? It goes to show you that this whole thing is an operation run by gangsters, by spooks, by people who lie and kill for a living. I mean, what else do you want to call them? So it's very, very, and it's, of course, it's meant to be, insulting. They want to rub our faces in it and say, look, see, Turkey's in charge. Turkey's running things. Erdogan, as a matter of fact, even went on television, and he's bragging about occupying Syrian cities like Idlib. Well, they already did, but he's adding Aleppo to that list, Damascus, Raqqa, and saying they will become provinces in addition to what they already occupy. I mean,
Türkiye'nin hemen dibinde kritik gelişmeler yaşanıyor. Ama bunlar ne olup bittiğini takip bile etmiyorlar. Öyle ki dünya yıkılsa, 3. Cihan Harbi çıksa, inanın CHP yönetiminin umurunda olmaz. Mesela şu soruyu kendilerine hiç sormuyorlar. 1. Dünya Savaşı bölgemizde sınırları...
Here's the version with subtitles. Forgive me. There you go.
Hemen dibinde kritik gelişmeler yaşanıyor. Ama bunlar ne olup bittiğini takip bile etmiyorlar. Öyle ki dünya yıkılsa, 3. Cihan Harbi çıksa, inanın CHP yönetiminin umurunda olmaz. Mesela şu soruyu kendilerine hiç sormuyorlar. 1. Dünya Savaşı bölgemizde sınırları yeniden belirlerken şartlar başka türlü zuhur etseydi acaba ne olurdu? Kuvvetle muhtemel Halep dediğimiz, İdlib dediğimiz, Hama dediğimiz, Şam dediğimiz, Rakka dediğimiz şehirler tıpkı Antep gibi, tıpkı Hatay gibi, tıpkı Urfa gibi bizim birer vilayetimiz olacaktı.
So do you understand why he's talking about World War I? Because that's when the Ottoman Empire was destroyed by Lawrence of Arabia and the Arab tribes, and in the Arab revolt, and they partitioned the region with Sykes-Picot and the Balfour Declaration into what you see today. But the irony is that pieces of land that should be Syrian, like Antioch, were given to Turkey, right? And instead of keeping quiet and being happy that land that belonged to Turkey was given to Turkey, he's like, no. They should have redrawn more of it in our favor. So that he's basically hinting at what is to come, and effectively what is Turkey doing? It's gone. It's gone, and of course taken Idlib and been there for years. They're using Turkish currency there. He wants to revive the Ottoman Empire. Do you understand? And the sad thing about this is that many Muslims, Arab Muslims, so I'm not even talking about people who come from Turkey, they're Arab Muslims, they really think that, he's some kind of sultan who is going to come and, resurrect the Ottoman Empire from the dead, and that this will be very, very good for everyone. Well, if his current behavior is not clear enough, perhaps I can jog your memories. This guy is helping Israel fuel its jets and fuel its tanks when it's bombing Gaza. That's how much he cares about Muslims, okay? I think, and about Arabs. So I think we can leave it at that. But once again, we should go back to you know, the bigger picture here. Erdogan has his plans. You know, he wants to revive the Ottoman Empire and take chunks of Syria in order to do that. And of course guarantee the flow of resources through from Qatar to Turkey. And the Israelis also have their plan, you know, so this is a win-win situation for everybody except Syria. Turkey, Erdogan gets to persecute the Kurds, gets to have his pipeline, gets to take more land. Israel gets to have its Greater Israel project, gets to have the strategic Mount Haramon, is also probably going to steal more resources from the Golan. Mount Haramon itself has a lot of water, not to mention you've got a little bit of gas and oil also in the Golan Heights. And they'll build settlements there and keep expanding their colonies. The Americans will keep stealing oil. They'll block the new Silk Road. So everybody wins. All the imperial powers win. And of course, the Daesh scum that have taken over get to sit on the throne. You know, Jolani gets to call himself an emir or whatever, you know, rank he currently has in ISIS and Al-Qaeda and sit on the throne like some little gimp. So everybody wins except Syrians, but of course some Syrians are too busy celebrating and they're still drunk on you know, they're still punch drunk and they've got too much hubris going on for them to have realized that they've been hoodwinked and that they've been had. And when I say had, I mean land has been stolen, resources have been stolen that will take generations, if not centuries, to get back. You understand now? Do you understand now? But apparently geopolitics is too much, right? This makes you an Assadist. Apparently, if you point out the fact that Syria has resources and is situated at the crossroads of 3 continents, therefore it is strategic, this makes you someone who kisses Bashar al-Assad's backside. Like, these people are so dumb. It's embarrassing, honestly, that they can't even appreciate their own, and I'm not talking about all Syrians, but a large chunk, that they can't appreciate the wealth and history of their own country, and yet they claim to love it so much. They just don't value it properly. They don't understand the value of Syria. Its true value. Again, YouTube demonetized my channel because I'm not allowed to say naughty things about Israel. You know, telling the truth is forbidden. So if you are able to donate a few dollars on PayPal or on a monthly basis on Patreon, please consider doing it because it would really help me continue my journalism and support independent media. So I'd be very grateful. And the links are in the description and also in the chat. Thank you guys very much again for all your donations and all your kind comments. I appreciate it very much.